Hi. About a week or two ago, right after Diwali, I got a call from my grandmother. 60-something and constantly in the mood to snap, the first question she asked me was, "Have you grown any taller?" I told her that there wasn't a lot I could do about that. It's not like I'm Elastigirl from The Incredibles. Then she moved on to her next line of interrogation. "Have you lost any weight? You were looking so big the last time you were in Ranchi." I told her that I was too busy with school to deal with such trivial matters. Some of these comments still manage to hit you hard in the chin, even when you have two chins. And I'm not the only one in the world that has to deal with such comments. The problem lies in the fact that there are billions of boys and girls out there around the world that have to deal with comments like these. At some point in time, I learned to deal with comments like these almost on a daily basis. It was during my golden highlights pixie haircut phase, and I would be walking down the school corridor, and I would hear somebody saying, "Hey, look, there goes an elephant stampede." Or somebody is saying, "Look, there's a boy in a skirt." And I would always think one of two things. The first, why would they assume that I'm unhappy with the way I look? Why would they assume that I'm uncomfortable? And the second, wow, how original. Having a tummy, belly, stomach, whatever you want to call it, does not mean that I have a disability. I'm perfectly okay with the way I look, but for some reason, society is not. Body shaming is the act of humiliating someone by mocking or making critical comments about their body shape or size. Simply put, it is completely based on external opinions, notions, and perceptions of bodies and their beauty. Usually, brushing off fat-shaming, body-slamming comments is like developing a resistance to chickenpox. After getting it once, you never contract it again. Your body grows immune to it after a long, painful, itchy battle with it. What's astonishing, however, is the number of people around the world that have to deal with body shaming across the course of their lifetime. A poll conducted by Fifth Rated found that 93% of women and 83% of men considered themselves victims of body shaming. Both men and women went on to say that their bellies and legs were the body parts that they felt most ashamed about. Women went on to say that their butts and stretch marks were the body parts that were most targeted, whereas men felt forced to go to the gym because of the attention that the media pays to a man's abs. Body shaming and low body confidence are linked to a number of mental disorders. Major depressive disorder, social anxiety, and an inability to communicate with those close to you. A couple of days ago, my sister and I were lounging around. She said, "I don't want to be fat. I wouldn't fit in and I wouldn't look good." I was shocked. A 12-year-old girl has to think about things like this. I then said, "There are other things that are much worse that you could be. You could be racist, you could be homophobic, you could be sexist, or you could be ignorant. Being fat is not one of those things." Not only does this show that a fight against body shaming is a lifelong battle, but it does show that society expects women to remain flawless throughout their lifetime. Culturally, a woman could just be entering her teens, or she could just be going through menopause, and people would still subject her to ruthless body shaming. Body shaming is so culturally significant that parents find it normal to body shame their own children. In India, body shaming within families is particularly prevalent. What allows it to grow is the fact that nobody stops it. Aunties and uncles have become comfortable with offering unsolicited advice to children, specifically girls. The key to uprooting body shaming lies within removing it from your immediate environment, your home. In my opinion, parents must love, support, and encourage their children enough to stop close and distant relatives from commenting on their child's body. It's only with a parent's unsaid consent that an auntie and uncle can comment on their child's appearance. In India, it is relatively normal if an auntie and uncle come to your house with a box of laddus, make themselves comfortable on your couch, eat plates and plates of samosas and chips, and then continue to comment on the body of the child of the family, especially the girl child. In March of this year, I attended a wedding in Bombay. During the wedding, I met a cousin that I hadn't met for a long time. UPenn graduate, raking in the big bucks, and a little on the heavier side. To the Sangeet, she was wearing a ghagra that exposed a strip of her stomach. Indian aunties are something like a fat girl wearing a ghagra raider. They come running whenever they see somebody who's fat wearing a ghagra. An auntie appeared out of nowhere and began adjusting my cousin's dupatta to cover her stomach. My cousin was taken aback. She took a step back and readjusted her dupatta to its original place. She then very spunkily said, "If you have the assets, then why not show them off?" And then walked off. It was the look on that auntie's face. It was as if she was screaming Haram. It was like a classic Bollywood film moment. This vicious cycle is what breeds stories like that of Farah and Meghna. Farah is a 20-year-old woman living in Portugal. She's in a relationship. Her boyfriend is constantly comparing her body to the likes of other Latina women, like Jennifer Lopez. Farah is now embarrassed of her curves and feels pangs of anxiety whenever her body is mentioned. She spends days on end looking at herself in the mirror, pointing out her flaws, picking herself apart, and just hoping for a flatter stomach. Meghna is a 13-year-old girl who's been skinny since she was a child. Meghna eats and eats and eats, but doesn't seem to gain weight. Meghna doesn't want to do her favorite activity anymore, theater, because if she feels like the teacher will replace her with somebody who's less skinny. Meghna, who's performed on stage a countless number of times, now has stage fright. Body shaming forces people to question or alter their appearance for the pleasure of society. I still remember one day a friend came up to me and she said, "Why don't you grow your hair out? The average man likes long hair, and you wouldn't look like a boy anymore." I wanted to laugh. I replied, "I don't grow my hair out because I don't want to deal with average men." Body shaming enables society to create labels as if they were coated in super glue. Fun fact, the US plus size industry begins at size 8. More than half of this room would be considered plus size. How does it feel to be labeled and picked on? People with a complexion like mine, or darker, would be considered dark in the States and Europe. How does it feel to have your confidence picked on? I was watching a Netflix original the other day, and surprisingly, this one actually made sense. The original, Nappily Ever After, spoke about beauty expectations and assumptions of African American women. Violet, an African American woman, would have her hair combed with a burning hot metal hairbrush to tame her curls. The brush would burn her scalp, but she still continued. Otherwise, people would assume that she came from a bad black household. It got me thinking about the money and time we spend on erasing these assumptions by changing our appearance and body. Indians spend 23% more money on beauty products as compared to the money they spend in groceries. If only as children, especially as girls, we had played with toys that taught us that appearances are not everything. While I got the liberty to play with puzzles and paint, some girls are just handed a Barbie doll with a cinched waist and wide eyes, whereas boys are handed macho toys with abs and bulging biceps. Studies show that children that played with Barbie dolls or macho action figures grow up to be more insecure about their own body. Parents need to make more conscious decisions about the kind of media and toys that they expose their children to. If only some boys and girls had seen toys that represent how an actual woman and man are supposed to look, not toys that have their feet permanently molded to slide into a pair of heels or fit it right into spandex. As a result of childhood stereotyping and environmental influences, only 2% of people in India actually like the way they look, which is so incredibly sad. The perception of how people think their body looks versus how their body actually looks has a strong correlation with their professional and academic achievements. We begin to equate the way we think we look to our worth as human beings. Popular culture and the media are intrinsic to our perceptions of beauty. Brands like Dove, Change Clothing, Fenty Beauty, and United Colors of Benetton are working towards changing global beauty standards and acknowledge that each body is different, distinct, but most importantly, worthy. However, they're shot down by the likes of Victoria's Secret and the internet campaign #ProAnna. For those of you that don't know what hashtag pro-ana is, hashtag pro-ana is hashtag pro-anorexia. Nobody should be pro-anorexia. The shortest ever Victoria's Secret model was 5'8", which means that barely anybody in this room would even be considered eligible. What about me? I would be a mile away. I'm 5 feet. Stop continuously saying that you need to do something as compared to want to do something. People often say that they need to shave instead of want to shave. Or they need to lose weight as compared to want to lose weight. Give yourself the liberty of consent. Don't let society dictate your needs and your wants. Number 3, don't feel afraid to respond to haters. If you can defend your ideologies and political opinions, why can't you defend your own body? However, like everything in this world, the body positive movement does have its flip sides. The body positive movement is now a commercial powerhouse for brands and still places excessive importance on the way we look and our bodies and not our identities and actual personality. The body positive movement eventually boiled down to only 2 aspects of beauty: complexion and weight, when there's so much more that can be explored. That is why, at this point, I support the body neutrality movement. The body neutrality movement gives people the choice to accept their body if they can't love it just yet. Due to lack of commercialization, the body neutrality movement considers the feeling an individual may feel on days where they don't like the way they actually look. In order to breed and encourage body neutrality, we must begin to address body politics, which includes assumptions made about bodies. For example, people assume I'm fat because I don't exercise. I actually have PCOS, a disorder that makes my hormones go haywire and prevents me from losing weight. There are other people out there that suffer from similar diseases or disorders that affect their appearance. For example, diabetes or cancer. One way to change body negative comments to body positive comments is to use words and phrases that place importance and positivity. For example, mermaid thighs versus no thigh gaps. Which one sounds better? The only way to tune out the noise today is to make yourself your own role model. As egoistic as it may sound, practice staying healthy, smiling, going makeup free, and simply encouraging yourself. One thing that really helped me was taking up art. In art, in order to draw the human form and figure, you must learn something called anatomy. Anatomy teaches you about the variations in the human form and figure and makes you appreciate these differences. Anatomy also teaches you where humans put on weight, how their muscles are placed, the names of these muscles, and how to draw them. For that matter, creativity of any form helps dispel negativity. It's like appreciating flowers. I can't really pick up my flowers, my hands are full. But according to my script, I'm supposed to pick that one up and say, a rose is just as beautiful as a chrysanthemum, even though they're vastly different. Recognize your beauty and recognize the beauty of those around you. Bad hair days may come and go, but the way you treat the people around you will remain forever. Be polite, be grateful, and be appreciative. The world has enough hate. It's time to spread love. And the best place to start is with yourself. Thank you.